Now, Dame Valerie Adams is not only one of New Zealand and Tonga's most decorated athletes in history, she's one of the elite group of Olympians who are recognised instantly anywhere in the world. So after a career spanning more than 2 decades, you can imagine how difficult it was for Dame Val to make this announcement.
Today I'm here to share with you all that I'm officially hanging up these size 14 throwing shoes.
You can imagine an incredibly emotional decision, and Dame Valerie joins us this morning. Thank you so much, Dame Val, and we've got your lovely daughter Kimoana as well joining you this morning, just showing that mum life never stops. Val, you had obviously thought about the words you were going to say. Was that the first time you'd actually had to say them?
I'd gone through a few times with the statement, made some changes, etc. And when you're reading it like that at home, it's no biggie. And I had prepared myself for being emotional, but I wanted it to be real. So when the words came out officially and it was there, it was really hard to come out. But when I started it, and it took me a little while to get going, I was comfortable and I was in my mojo. So I'm happy now, and it's like kind of less stressed today, but yesterday was a very, very big day for my family and I.
Yeah, I can imagine it was probably quite draining by the end of it, a roller coaster. You've spoken about knowing in your mind, your body and your soul that this was the right decision for you to make for you and your family now. Was there a night where you went to bed and that you can remember thinking, this is it, I'm doing it now? You know, do you remember that moment where you were at peace with it?
Kind of vaguely, but it took me a long time to process the feelings I was having. When I embarked on possibly going for another campaign, I started training, and immediately my body felt sore and the recovery was painful. And I was just, every night I'd go to bed and be like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this to myself? And, you know, as the months went on, I just really found peace with myself and found peace with my mind and body. And I'm the type of person, if I'm going to commit to something, I'm going to give it my all, and I'm not there as just a number. I want to be there to perform and to bring the goods home for Aotearoa. So those are the types of things I really needed to take into consideration. Qualifying for the event, no biggie. Being selected, okay, that's no biggie as well, and it's never been an issue of mine. But actually, performance was one thing I needed to really consider, and ultimately my family played a big part of my decision, and also my body saying thank you, Valerie, for being so kind to me for once in your life.
Yeah, and I know you're really close with your physio Louise, and she said one of the things she was just so thankful for when she knew that you were going to make this decision was that you'd given yourself permission to stop hurting yourself, as you've just described that you have. What was it then that over all those years kept you going, kept you thinking, I've got to keep pushing and I've got to live through this hurt?
It's the want to compete, and you don't want to disappoint. Like, you're on this journey, yes, you're out there individually competing for New Zealand, but there's a whole team behind me, you know, and I was that one person that needed to carry on and do what I got to do. When you have a sport at a time where they're reliant on, for example, your performances for funding, etc., there was extra pressure on there. But I always found a way through all my injuries somehow to be able to compete. My pain threshold is super high, and it doesn't work in my favor. However, if there was one person that knows exactly what has gone on and what has been, it would be Lou, because at the end of the day, at one stage I was calling her every day to kind of help me with my back so I can get through training. And for me, in my mind, I thought, like, this is what I got to do and this is what I have to do. And I did it for over 20 years. And I sit back and I'm like, why did you do that to yourself? But I always said that I really wanted to walk by the time I'm 50 and carry my grandchildren one day. So I think I've stopped at a good time to give my body a chance to finally rest and just chill out.
Yeah, totally. And I've been lucky enough to kind of be there at some of your events around the world, and one moment for me that I think really sticks out was in Lucerne. It was just before Glasgow 2014, before the Commonwealth Games, and you were on this incredible consecutive winning streak of like more than 50 wins consecutively, which was crazy. But you were beaming because you just started dating Gabe, and so now when you think about the it was really cute, and now when you think about the family that has come since then, what do you attribute your family to in terms of the success you were able to carry on with?
It's that unconditional support. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to do what I've done in the last few years in particular. Having children and being a mum, it takes a toll on your body, on your mind, on your heart. But knowing that the kids are safe, whatever decision I would have made, Mum and Gabe and the whole family would have been behind me. So it wasn't about me waiting for them. It was them waiting for me to decide what I'm going to do before everybody else kind of works around it. And they had, as an athlete, you are selfish and you have to become selfish to be successful. But ultimately, I've got to kind of put that aside now and be unselfish, because these kids take majority of my time, my energy, my heart, my soul, my everything. And I'm just very grateful that I've had that support, especially over the last few years. It has been quite tough, the later times of my career, but one that I'll be ever grateful for.
You say that you've had to be selfish, and I understand and what you're saying with that, but you've been so influential in athletes' villages, the Olympics and Com Games. I know that so many athletes attribute their success or their inspiration to you, but also just the comedic and fun that you bring to the village. What would you like to say is your sporting legacy to other athletes?
It's a dream. Take a chance on yourself, be prepared to work, and know that athletes like myself have paved the way, and hopefully we've left a good impression on them. And know that even though we may not be around, for example, as an athlete, they will be here to support you. It's not one of those things where you leave, when people retire, that's the end of it. No, we want the younger generation athletes that are coming through to pick our brains, to learn from our mistakes, to learn from our experiences, and they can become better athletes and better human beings. But that's what I would ultimately like and ultimately want for the future for my own children if they decide to take up sports in any way.
Very special to see King Moana sitting there, although she looks kind of bored now, sitting there and taking that all in and hearing that message. Olympic great Dame Valerie Adams, thank you so much for this morning, and thank you for all your support and the time you've given Newshub journalists over the years too.